There you saw President Donald Trump exiting the White House, getting into his motorcade and preparing to make that journey across town to the U.S. Capitol. We did not hear him make any remarks to the reporters there, capturing images and hoping to get some audio from that moment. A quick trip just down the street, basically. The president will be heading into the U.S. Capitol, where his speech is slated to begin in about 30 minutes.
And that car he's in is known as the Beast.
Okay, talk to me about that.
All right, so many times when you cover the president, you get to see the Beast up close. And the doors have got to be this thick. You realize what he's really traveling in is like a tank. It is designed to protect the president. And of course, one of the things about the Beast is whenever the president travels in it, all the streets shut down. You see what life is like without traffic. You see stranded motorists on the other side. Now, during Joe Biden's presidency, often also on the side were protesters. So far, we haven't seen as much kind of protest momentum against President Trump. But this weekend, for the first time outside his golf course, we began to see people protesting over him not backing Ukraine. And it will be interesting to see if this particular issue captures some momentum.
Absolutely. I remember during the campaign going all across the country, following particularly Donald Trump's campaign. That was where much of my focus was. But it would be pretty frequent that there would be some sort of a semblance of people gathered to voice opposition to him or to his candidacy. Clearly, he won the election. He is the new president. But what you just point out about Ukraine, I have heard from some Republicans and seen other coverage of a bit of concern as to what happened in the Oval Office this past week and wondering what that means not only for the United States' relationship with Ukraine and what that could mean for the conflict overall, but also just U.S. foreign policy. And I think what I would anticipate we're going to hear tonight from President Donald Trump is aiming to set the table in terms of the role that he wants the U.S. to play, not just in that conflict, but in the broader international relations sphere, which, as we know, particularly from his candidacy and his first administration, those are some places where he would like to make some changes.
And he faced a real moral challenge today from Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who basically said, look, Trump is imposing tariffs on U.S. allies, people who fought with the U.S. in World War II, Afghanistan, have stood by the U.S., and is siding, and this was a key criticism by Trudeau, with Russian leader Vladimir Putin, who Trudeau basically called a murderer. What Trump needs to be able to show is why he's making this journey, but also he's going to face criticism for it. That's very clear because this is an abrupt change in American foreign policy since World War II. He is essentially rewriting America's relationship with Europe, America's relationship with Russia, America's relationship with Panama and the Panama Canal. We don't know how this is going to turn out, but there is a bet that America can use its economic heft to tell the rest of the world what to do and how it should behave. And Trump would say that he is behaving in America's best interests by doing that, but Democrats have their doubts that we're making our friends into our enemies.
It's interesting that you mentioned Panama because I remember in the first days of the second Trump administration, that seemed to be one of the major things that people were talking about. Secretary of State Marco Rubio on his first trip clearly went to Latin America and was talking with leaders about the Trump administration's purview as it relates to the Panama Canal and things that they would like to institute there. But now it seems that lately, at least, a lot of the focus has shifted back to those countries involved in the tariff disputes that you've been reporting so much about, Mexico and Canada and also China.
Yeah, although, look, we also saw a potential takeover of Greenland that President Trump wanted to do. The point is, on the foreign policy realm, there is always something with him. And we see an expansionary and a go-it-alone tendency thus far. We really don't know how that plays out. We really don't know how that makes Americans safer. One of the burdens that Trump will face is explaining why his agenda really helps to deliver the results he's promised.
Looking now again at Statuary Hall, where lawmakers are continuing to make their way through from the Senate side over to the House side. We've seen some other senators coming through and those reporters hoping to get some comments from them, but mostly just gathering images at this point because it is time for all of the lawmakers to take their seats. You just saw a few moments ago President Donald Trump departing the White House. He is making that quick journey, as Josh noted, without traffic or any stops from the White House over to the U.S. Capitol. And we anticipate that he will be in the building shortly, although his remarks aren't slated to begin until 9 p.m. Eastern. So let's just keep our eyes on Statuary Hall here for a moment.
This really is not quite like the red carpet at the Oscars, right, where people